Would you like to quit your job and become a full-time pickleball coach, changing lives, spending more time on the court? In this video, I'm going to be going over some of the mindset and the strategy to give you clarity, hopefully a bit more motivation to know that yes, it can happen. What I'm doing is I'm using years of experience actually helping personal trainers quit their jobs and becoming full-time personal trainers. Now, I want to explain, before I dive into this mind map, which I've created, I want to explain the timeline of a personal trainer and also the potential timeline of you as a pickleball coach. You may be watching this right now in consideration of certifying. You may also be watching this having just certified. You may also be watching this a year after certification, but you're still in your job. But let me explain what happens in the fitness industry. For example, someone gets certified as a personal trainer, and then they go into a big box gym, and then they want to own their own gym. So they get like a small studio, for example. Maybe it starts off in their garage, then it goes to something a little bit bigger, and then they start to have staff. And then they want to go online because they want to leverage their time a bit more. So I see the same thing happening in the pickleball space. What happens is that you're going to start off, you're going to start working with people, and then maybe as revenue grows, as other opportunities are going to start to open up. Maybe you want to, build your own court, have a place where instead of going out and renting courts, you have that on your own. Then maybe you build another online model. So just understand that these things evolve. But there are a few key questions and things to be aware of, especially when people are in this internal push and pull, which is basically, I dream of doing this, but I'm comfortable. And this is so common when it comes to those in this situation. And this is the big question that I ask everybody, which is, and you might want to write this down, what specifically needs to happen for you to quit your job? Because for some people, when I ask that question, they'll say, well, I just need to, replace my current income. Yes, but for how many months? If you don't drill down on that question and actually know like what, almost get your head into that place of the moment that you hand in your resignation, what would actually need to be in place? Because here's why. For some people, they have more of an internal ability to deal with risk. And so they could quit their job now. They've got some money saved up. There's a bit of a runway there financially. They would have more time to put a lot of effort into working with people, dialing in marketing. And with a bit of support and coaching, they can actually achieve their goals. Now, for other people, that's a completely different situation. Why? Because they need there to be a transition. They need to build things up in the background, work with some clients. And then what happens is there's a turning point. There's a turning point where we feel now I just, I'm in this job and I just need to quit because like things have shifted over energetically, financially. You start to build your confidence. And that's actually key. The building of confidence, this knowing inside of you that I'm capable, people have paid me, and I've got more and more demand. And now there's a shift in, again, energy, focus, and now it becomes easier to hand in that resignation. So the first exercise for you is to know that turning point. And then what I also want to do is have you set a goal. Because I can tell you now, one thing that stops people from reaching any goal, in fact, in life, is that they just say, one day I'll. It's a very common phrase. So my question to you would be, would you be willing to say, okay, I'm going to quit it in a year? And then the question I would ask is, why not in 6 months? Why not in 3 months? Because by nature, and this is just so common with people, when I build in accountability with my clients and I say, hey, when can you do this? What we tend to do is we tend to put it so far in the future and then it never happens. And it's kind of almost a form of self-sabotage. So 2 things here to go over once again. Are you somebody, and pick a path, right? Are you somebody that can go all in? You've got some financial runway. right? And with the right training and the education, maybe you want to get certified, but then what are your weak areas? Is it sales? Is it marketing? What is that area of confidence? Or are you someone that needs to have that transition point? Then know specifically what needs to happen for you to quit and get your mind into that. What that will do is it will give you some clarity, and it will also bring up some other things. For example, this is also very common. Well, my job, there's health benefits, there's this other stuff, and that can become a bit of a safety net. We can be comfortable in that. But in my experience, talking to a lot of people, there's this deeper calling. And what happens is that there's that calling and there's that calling, and it just doesn't go away. And so what needs to happen is we need to make a decision. We need to say, yes, I'm going to quit my job. And oftentimes we don't want to have those difficult situations. So this is going to help. Now, the next part, which I'll actually add on below here, is actually, you can go over here, which is the model. Okay. So for example, if you are, if you're just going to do one-to-one, then that is going to have a different impact on your time than if you are training groups of people. How much you price yourself at doing one-to-one or within groups is going to impact people. Now, I'll share with you how I help personal trainers to go from $2,000 a month to 10,000 in 30 days. This is what would happen. Most personal trainers are taught by the training companies that you want to charge X amount, $50 a session, hand out business cards, and go and get your clients. Versus a model of teaching semi-private, putting people into groups, and then selling packages, right? Outcome-based or monthly recurring. So what you have to look at is what are the existing models that you understand, and how do you also develop a model that suits you and what you want to do? Because what I don't want to do is be here and say to you, you need to do one specific thing, because maybe you love working with people one-to-one, right? Or maybe you transit into groups over time. Back when I was a personal trainer, that's what I did, right? I started off and then I moved and I evolved as I grew. But one thing that can stop people from quitting their jobs is that mindset piece of that decision of, yes, I'm going to do it, but also writing down the numbers and getting specific, because you need to see it on paper in terms of how many hours you would be spending, right? Let's just say that you are going to be working with 4 people at once and your hourly rate is going to be $200 an hour. Well, how many hours is that going to be total? When you look at that, does that seem viable based on your situation? Maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got other things going on. So the model is very, very important for you, because it gives you that understanding of, okay, this is now what I need to do in order to move this along in either of the options that I talked about earlier, the transition or the I'm going to just quit my job now. I've got, 6 months to make it work. And if not, I'm going to, move to another option. So a good way to do this, right, is to use AI, ChatGPT or Gemini, which is from Google, and put in there and just put in the specifics and say, hey, I want to charge this. And, I want to work this amount of hours. And the reason why I'm saying this too, which is quit your job, is different for everybody. Because for some people, it needs to be $5,000 a month. For someone else, it needs to be 10,000. For someone else, it needs to be 15,000, right? For someone else, it might be very little, So you have to understand the numbers. You also need to understand the model, and you need to know that quitting point. What is going to be that switch? Going back to that too, about that transition, for some people, they need to see that regularity. So, even if someone made 5,000 in their first month or 10,000 and they did it relatively quickly, they need to see consistency. And that is, again, different for everybody. For some people, they just want to do it slowly and more organic and allow it to build up in that way, right? So I want to respect everybody's individual situation. Then we've got marketing. Now, this becomes a big area for a lot of people because in reality, they've not potentially ran a business before. Now, one thing I want you to be aware of, which is this is why coaching is very important. This is actually why I created the success games and the community that I've built, which is, I have a 7-day mindset training in there that people love and they go through, because when you're new to business, when you're new to putting yourself out there, when you're new to doing stuff on social media, when you're not new to engaging, a lot of stuff can come up for people. Imposter syndrome, right? Thoughts that it's not going to work out. And we have to have the awareness that that is an area that I need to focus on. Because what I will ask clients, I will say, what do you think is the main challenge in you growing this business that you want to grow? Do you think it's going to be you, or do you think it's going to be strategy? And what I mean by that is, and again, this is different for everyone. If it's, I feel like, yes, the strategy is important, but I have some confidence challenges, right? And I need to work on those. That's really important because you can tackle those. You can get help with that. Versus someone that's just like, give me the tools, give me the strategy, and I'll be off. And it does happen for some people where you just give them the strategy and suddenly I give them instructions, give them some accountability, and they go do it and they get results quickly. But again, everybody's different. So you need to have that self-awareness and say, okay, these are my weak areas. Now for you, it might be sales, right? But you might have a natural gift when it comes to marketing and putting yourself out there. But just know, in order to grow a business, you're going to need to have the right mindset. You're also going to need to market yourself or be able to collaborate, but maybe you're great at networking, right? And then you're going to need to sell yourself. You're going to need to have conversations, right? It's not just about putting a button on a website and hoping people that sign up. Part of growing a business is going to be talking to people, having a conversation, transitioning into the sale. And then also, as your self-confidence goes up, then you can start to charge more for what you do, but do it in a way that's legitimate. And we've got down here other skills. Now, I put this in here because maybe you add on here, for example, nutrition. Now you add on here life coaching, right? Maybe you also do massage, right? What I want you to do is I want you to think about the different skills that you have that you can package into something different. Because again, going back to just every pickleball coach charges X, well, that's based upon a lesson versus a transformation. And I did a podcast on this around the importance of, adding things like life coaching and other things where there's a lot of uniqueness that can come into the space. Maybe also you are thinking about becoming a personal trainer, right? So there's a fitness aspect there too. Now, all of this plays into your USP and the thing that you can offer, okay? Then you've got marketing at things like Open Play, right? You've got, yes, your website and Google. You've got networking, right? You've got lots of different ways, social. You've got lots of different ways to market yourself. I just want to give you the confidence right now to know that there's plenty of ways for you to market yourself at a low cost. And then as you generate some revenue, or if you've got some already, for you to then put into advertising as an example. But you can do things on a relatively low budget if you have the right direction and you understand these things. Okay. So now let's talk about the one-to-one. One-to-one is important as a transition for a lot of people. For example, I'm used to training groups. I'm used to doing events with lots of people. Okay. But it didn't always start off that way. When I first certified as a personal trainer many, many years ago, I came back from Cyprus, right? And then I went into the gym and I started to work with people one-on-one. But I got 7 clients in my first week because I was so passionate and I was so excited, and that comes across. And if you've got that passion and you've got that excitement, I'm going to tell you now that energy with a bit of direction is going to do really well. So what will happen is that you'll start to work with people one-on-one, and then you'll add someone else. Okay. And then you'll add someone else. And then you'll start to notice that you're training bigger and bigger groups. Now, as those groups increase, you start to expand your leverage, meaning leveraging your time so that you don't get burnt out. Because depending on how much you make a month, on how many hours you're spending, what you won't want to do most likely is put yourself in a situation where now you're exhausted, you're not actually playing pickleball yourself, and now it's not fulfilling and not happy for you. Okay. So just know that there's going to be stages that you go through once you certify, once you are starting to feel more comfortable. Okay. So these are the things that I want you to focus on during from this video. Number one, which is going to be, are you going to be someone that's going to transist? If so, what needs to happen for that to happen? Create a time frame. When do you feel that it can be? Realistically, is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 6 months? Then understand the model that you're going to implement. Is that going to be doing events? What are the costs going to be involved in that when it comes to renting courts? Maybe you have a situation where you have a court at your house, right? It's different for everyone. I don't know the situation. All right. If you want to get specifics based on your current situation, head into the community at picklepreneurs.com and the success games, and we can start to dial things in, and you'll see the wins that actually happen in there from the video that I share. But here's what I want to finally share, right? Which is know the specifics of the turning point. Then what I want you to think about is one marketing aspect for you that is more of a natural. Okay, so are you a natural networker in person, right? Because what we will do early on is focus on your strength when it comes to marketing. Because maybe jumping on video straight away, that's going to be a skill that you develop, but maybe you're really natural at connecting with people. And so we can make some tweaks so that then you can start to sign up clients relatively easy from that passion that you have. Okay. And then, of course, so we've mentioned the transition, we've mentioned the marketing, and then understanding the model. When you have those components together, what will hopefully start to happen is you start to get an internal shift. And then here's what I also want you to do as an added exercise, which is I want you to, if you have other skills, right? For example, other things that you can add on to create a different type of package. I want you to put a number in a circle, which is just like oh my God, no one would pay that. That's great. So maybe it's $2,500, maybe it's $1,000 versus this $50 or even $200 an hour. I want you to pick a bigger number. Just maybe it's $1,000. Put that $1,000 in, for example, here. So we're going to add on here. I'm going to put $1,000. Okay. Then what I want you to do is start to build around that with, for example, life coaching, if that's a skill, right? Life coaching for 6 weeks, for example. Nutrition, all right? Nutrition coaching. Maybe you work with a meal prep company, right? So we're putting something together unique for you. And then I want you to think about, if I just sold 3 of those a month, how much more would that move me towards your goal? All right. This is something I've done historically with my clients. That's what I help them do to shift up income and shift up impact. It's what I've done for myself over the years in taking my skills in what I've learned and educated myself and package it together. And the great thing is that you can learn other skills to make yourself unique in the pickleball space. And there's so much opportunity for you as an individual. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, and then we'll see you again. And just remember, if you want to get more in-depth help, head into the Picklepreneurs community. I'll see you soon. Take care.